Some have mentioned the possibility, if they try to push through a nominee in a lame duck session, that you and the House could move to impeach President Trump or Attorney General Barr as a way of stalling and preventing the Senate from acting on this nomination.
Well, we have our options. We have arrows in our quiver that I'm not about to discuss right now. We have a responsibility to meet the needs of the American people. When we weigh the equities, protecting our democracy requires us to use every arrow in our quiver.
It requires us.
Let's bring in Newt Gingrich, Fox News contributor, former Speaker of the House, and author of Trump and the American Future. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning. What's your reaction to that? What are her arrows? What options do they have?
What quiver?
Look, I think the Democrats are running two big gambles in the way they're responding to what is a legitimate move. After all, in 2016, it was Justice Ginsburg who said it was totally appropriate for a president to nominate and a Senate to confirm a justice during an election year. So they can simply Republicans can go around and quote Justice Ginsburg's own statements from 4 years ago. But the Democrats have two challenges. One, which Nancy Pelosi just exemplified, is they're going to get more radical, more frantic. You're going to see more crowds showing up at senators' houses and trying to intimidate people. They're going to talk about packing the court in the future. There'll be sort of a frenzy because the truth is that they're powerless. If the president nominates the people that we're looking at, they are people of faith, and the Democrats have to be very careful when they have somebody like Kamala Harris, who is as anti-Catholic, as openly anti-Catholic as she is, to not get involved in an anti-religious thing. Second, I think the real question is, can Mitch McConnell find 50 votes? If he can, there is nothing the Democrats can do to stop justice from being approved.
But Newt, you have to look around the corner and see what's there. If the president does that and gets it through in 40 days, it'll look like a short-term win. But if the results are motivating Democrats to get to the polls, that flips the Senate and gives Joe Biden the White House, is it worth it?
Well, I mean, first of all, I'm not at all sure that it motivates Democrats in the end more than Republicans. Remember, the fight over Justice Kavanaugh, where the Democrats were so vicious and so dishonest and so personal in their attack on him and his family, that led to the defeat of 4 Democratic senators. So I wouldn't assume, for example, that Peters in Michigan is safe if he decides to vote against somebody who's a Notre Dame professor and has a solid background, if in fact Barrett is the one who's chosen. I don't automatically assume that this is a winning issue for them. And I think that right now they're in a frenzy and they're all excited. But whether or not a week from now or 2 weeks from now, right, that's the central issue. I think it'll make the debate between Trump and Biden very interesting, to have Biden explain why in 2016 he was for what he's now against, et cetera. And I think it'll be interesting to see if he can actually carry out and think through that entire line without losing his track.
You know, Newt, it would also be interesting just to see that, say there is a Senate hearing before the election. It would just be interesting to measure the tone and tenor of the questions from the Democrats of, for instance, Amy Coney Barrett, or who we've been talking about now, who apparently has rocketed to the top of the president's list, this 53-year-old Barbara Lagoa, who's an appeals judge from Miami. She's the daughter of Cuban exiles. I would imagine the questioning of her will be much different than we saw last time around from the Democrats.
Well, I think this is why I think they have to walk a very careful line. They can't come across as the anti-Catholic, anti-Christian, anti-religious belief party. And there's a grave danger of that because the natural instinct of the secular Democrats is to be very hostile to the Catholic Church and to evangelicals and to conservative Jews because their views are so dramatically different. Right. And I think it's having that highlighted in the last weeks of a campaign. If you look at a place like Michigan or Minnesota, or as you point out, Florida, that may not be the most clever thing Democrats can do.
Yeah.
All right,
That's an
Newt.
understatement.
Right. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Glad to be with you.